Stephen Tyre, AS Media Presentation. Question 1. In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? For my media product, I had to make a title sequence which had to do initial research and planning before I could go out and make my title sequence. So I deconstructed 8 film title sequences to find forms and conventions I could use for my own. My film fits into the social realist genre. I watched some title sequences which are similar. One of the most important things I had to think about was to get the titles right. My film is about a teenage boy who has a habit of smoking drugs. That's why I went with the name Smoke. I think it tells the audience what the film is going to be about without giving too much away. I used Photoshop to create some of my titles and make it look like smoke. It goes against conventions of most drug use films, as they don't have titles to do with the drug abuse in the film, such as Trainspotting. But Smoke doesn't give away the film too much. The audience still don't know what to expect. I made the title in Photoshop myself on Photoshop. I just used a standard font and smudged it to create the smoke-like effect. I then put it over a video of smoke I filmed and tried to move the text with the smoke and fade it in and out to go with the smoke. I used the same text with the smoke and fade in and out. I just used a standard font and smudged it. I used the same effects with the introductions of the actor and director. It was important to put the director before the actor, as that is the conventions of most films, unless the actor is very famous. I spent a lot of time trying to find some of the locations which are suitable for the film. I was looking for somewhere dirty and outside but hidden away from the public when he was smoking the drugs, but when he was talking to camera, confessing, I wanted somewhere indoors and clean and plain. After looking around lots of locations, I decided to use some stairs in the multi-storey car park. It was out in the public but also hidden away from people, and it was gloomy and dirty. It was the perfect place for someone to hide the photography darkroom, as there was a plain wall and I could sit him up against it and it looked clean. I wanted the contrast of the clean and dirty to show the difference between him when he's taking drugs and when he's not. The clean background was to show he's a different person who's trying to clean himself up. Costumes were very important. I wanted him to dress as scruffy as he could for the flashback, so I could create the look like he didn't care for himself and he spent his money on drugs. And when he was confessing to the camera, I wanted him to dress not much smarter but look a bit cleaner to show he was trying to clean himself up. We didn't have many props in the film. Not many props were needed. The main prop was the cigarette, and I wanted to focus on that to show the way such a little thing could change someone's life. The camera work was very simple throughout the whole video, and so was the editing. A lot of it was meant to look like he'd filmed it himself, so I only had to set the camera on a tripod and let it record. Camera work was key to make it look like he was filming a video diary and he was getting flashbacks. My film fits into the social realist genre because it is about a teenage boy getting out of his drug habit. The opening is the boy confessing to camera about his drug use and how he wants to get off of it through the confession, but he wants to get off it, but through the confession he has flashbacks of him using drugs. The character introduces himself at the beginning of the film and then continues to tell the audience about himself and what he's gone through. A lot of drug abuse films normally involve a lot of violence and stereotypical thugs, and you usually see the glamorous side, whereas my film shows the reality. Question 2. How does your media product represent particular social groups? The social group I'm addressing is middle to lower class youth. My actor is showing the stereotypical views of teenage boys which many older people seem to have. I think this will attract teenagers because they can relate to the boy in the film. I chose my actor because he doesn't look like a drug addict. He looks like an ordinary boy, so more people can relate as they can imagine a friend or themselves in the position. The actor in my film is only a light drug user, but is still homeless, so looks scruffy. If we compare him to a heavy drug user such as Mark Renton from Trainspotting, the differences are obvious. Mark Renton doesn't look physically well and looks like he doesn't really take much care of himself, whereas the boy in my film looks like he takes care of himself. Young teenagers often look at drugs as the cool thing to do. My film shows the reality of what can happen when the drugs become addicting. My film is relatively educational, so it goes against the normal conventions by trying to help out teenagers. It looks at the other side to teenage drug use. Everyone sees the side of looking cool and antisocial, but rarely do you see the side of people trying to clean themselves up. You always see the bad side, but with this, you see the teenage boy trying to improve his life, and hopefully other young boys seeing this in the same position will get the motivation to improve their life. Question 3. What kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why? Momentum Pictures would be an ideal production company to distribute my film because they are UK based and as well as producing huge blockbusters such as The King's Speech, Momentum has also produced many independent films. This would give my film the best chance of getting distributed all over the UK. In 2011, they won more BAFTAs than any other company. Momentum Pictures are a well-established firm and are well known. This means my film will be in good hands. My film would be classed with the certificate age of 15 because of the BBFC's guidelines. There are references to drugs and strong language. Question 4. Who would be the audience for your media product? My film is targeted at teenagers between 16 and 20. It is mainly aimed at males as the main actor is a teenage boy within this age group. This could also be useful to give information to females of this age group. Again, I will say that this is an educational video, so it will be raising awareness for youths that may be thinking about drug use or have friends that are. It will show the audience the harsh reality of the effects of drugs and would hopefully steer them away from using them, such as Safe Drive Stay Alive, which raises awareness for dangerous driving, allowing the audience to rethink certain situations they may find themselves in and show the effects of things such as peer pressure. My audience could expand to viewers outside of my target audience, such as parents with teenage children. It might make the parents understand their child's situation more. Question 5. How did you address your audience? To attract my audience, the first shot starts with the actor sitting down in front of the camera saying hello and giving his name to the audience. Instantly, the audience knows who the character is, his situation, and his class from his accent. He uses frequent eye contact with the audience, so they feel he is addressing them personally. This helps the audience to feel connected with the actor and the situation he is in, by then changing from a clip of him talking to a clip of where he is smoking keeps the audience interested, as we are showing the confessions and the reality of his life in a short trailer. I kept it short so my audience didn't lose interest while watching it. I didn't want to give too much of my story away so that the audience would want to see the ending, so they'd pay to see it at the cinema. I think that they'd be intrigued to see whether he gets clean or not. Question 6. What have you learnt about technologies from the process of constructing this product? I've learnt how to portray different people and places through camera angles and sounds, and having the right sounds and angles can create certain looks. I also learnt how to use the editing software Movie Plus to create my title effects. I had to use Photoshop to create the titles themselves so they'd look a bit smoky, and then add them into Movie Plus and make them fade in and out with the smoke. With the smoke I recorded to give it the effect that the title would smoke itself. I knew how to use the camera confidently, but I learnt a lot through the construction of my product and how to edit and use the editing software. Question 7. Looking back on your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learnt in the progression from it to full product? I've learnt to take more care in all aspects of filming and editing. For example, I used music in my main film to add more of an atmosphere. I also took more care in choosing locations and actors. In my preliminary task, I used the school and someone in my group to act. Whereas in the main task, I picked someone who looked more of the part, and I used the Chichester multi-storey car park. I found it a lot easier this time round, as I was used to the editing software, and with more experience I could create better title sequences.